Alright, Brush Monkeys, we're back, and this week we're talking about the decorative plaque that we're putting our Call for Help sculpture on. It's the Call for Help from Thorbjorn Barone. It's a beautiful little sculpture. I think it came out really nice the way I painted it. And now we're going to do a decorative plaque for the background. Now, those of you who have been watching my videos for a while probably recognize this little square piece as the original base for the Frost Giant some time ago. Didn't quite work out. That I didn't want him on a decorative base. I wanted him on a gaming base. So I ended up with this decorative little wooden plaque that I got at Michael's, I believe, for like $2-3. Wasn't very much at all. And I sanded the top off because it had some little nasty stuff on there from when the Frost Giant was glued on there. But I sanded that down, so now you can't feel it. You can still see the discolorations, but in a minute you won't. So, sanded that down, and then I put one of these little things on the back. This is just a picture hanger. You can get this at most hardware stores or art supply stores in the framing section for, I think, $2 or $3 for a pack of 5 or 6 of them. You get a lot of them. There's little nails, nail them in. So I just put that on there so that when it's done, I'll be able to hang her up on the wall like that. And that's really all I've done to this thing. Now, to finish this up, what we're going to need is a pair of gloves, because this is going to be really messy work. We're going to need wood stain. In this case, we're using red mahogany, which is a really nice dark red. This is just Minwax wood stain. This is the easiest stuff I found to work with. I love how Minwax turns out. Gives a really nice even color to it, and they got a pretty wide range of really nice colors. Okay, to put the stain on, we're going to need a couple of these little foam brushes, and I say a couple because these little tiny ones don't last long, so I'll get maybe half of it done with one of them and then have to switch to the other one. Now, once the stain is on there, how dark it comes out will be determined largely by how long I leave the stain on there. So once I paint it on, the next step is going to be to rub the stain off, and for that we're going to need just a regular shop rag here. And then the last thing we're going to need for the decorative base is a sealant for it, and for this I'm using Minwax Helmsman Spar Urethane. This is this is clear gloss finish, so it'll be a nice glossy finish to it, but it's this is a slightly better gloss for stained wood application than the gloss coat you use for your miniatures. So go out and get some of this stuff. This will make it weatherproof as well, which is really nice. But it's yeah, it's really easy to use, fairly cheap for this can. It's like $4 or $5 at a hardware store. And but don't use this stuff for your miniatures. This will go on fairly thick and cover some detail. So, you know, right tool for the right job. Use this for woodworking and your decorative bases. Use the gloss coat for your miniatures Okay, don't get the two confused. So that's really all we're going to need for this. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and get ready to get started. All right, see you soon. All right, I'm back, and I forgot a couple of things couple other things you're going to need. A piece of newspaper, like you see I put down here, to avoid making a complete god-awful mess of your workspace. And then you're going to need one of these little doohickeys. And this could be used as a bottle opener, and it's got this little hook on the end. You can get these at the same hardware store that you get your wood stain from, and all it is just a little key to open up the can. Just stick that under the edge there and pry it up, and boom, you're in. And it doesn't make a god-awful mess of your can. But these things are really cheap. Sometimes, depending on where you go to get your wood stain, sometimes they'll throw in one of these things for free. So definitely get you one of those. So to put this in, to do this, all I'm going to do is go very smooth. Try to do the entire thing all in one brush stroke. All the way down. There we go. Now, it's not necessary to do the back. You can if you want. I'm not going to because it's not going to be visible. But really, you just put that all in there like that. Make sure you got all the sides. Beauty. And that's all there is to it. Put that lid back on. And there you go. You got a nice wood stained piece. Now, like I said, how dark that comes out is determined largely by how long you leave it on. So I'm going to give it a few seconds here and then start rubbing this off. And you'll notice one side comes off really nice and easy because that's the grain side, and the other side are going to be the edges of the grain, which aren't going to come off quite so smooth or easy. It'll be quite a bit darker. So you see there's the grain side, there's the end of the grain, and that's perfectly normal. Don't worry about that too much. And there you go. Now you see I got a lot of little scratches and whatnot in here. I didn't see any of that when I started. That was all the doing of the sander that I used. So if you end up with something like that, you can go ahead and put another coat of stain over the top of it and just wait. You're always going to have those scratches on there. They're going to be visible. But if you put another coat of stain on there and let it sit for a little bit longer, like I think we left this sit for like 5 seconds, and you know, it wasn't on for very long at all. While that's sitting, I'm going to go ahead and do the back. I know I said I wasn't going to do it, but I might as well now because it's taking up time. And like I said, I'm not going to do this very dark, so I'm just going to basically put that on there and then wipe it right off. Beauty. There we go. Cap under there. Alright. So that should have been sitting for plenty long enough. There we go. It's a little bit darker. Still got the scratches on there, but again, most of those will be covered up by the figure. So that's really all there is to it. You just paint it on, leave it on there for a couple seconds. I might do a third coat on this one. Alright, so while that's drying, let's talk about the urethane. I'm not going to do this in the shop because it's really smelly stuff. You want to do this someplace where you've got plenty of ventilation. But it's basically just a spray-on urethane. I'm going to take this up to the garage and do this. But it works just the same as anything else. You shake it up, give it a good shake, and then I will take that up to the garage and spray it over the whole surface. Then bring it back down, and for the most part it's done. This is going to be a really short video. It's not a whole lot involved in making this. There are videos online that show you how to make little name tags and things like that for it. I'm not going to be making a name tag for this, so I'm not going to go into that. We're going to put the urethane on this, then we're going to let that dry, and then we're going to glue the figure to it, and then we're calling this done. Okay. So hopefully this will be a little bit darker. I may just be making these scratches darker. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing is making the scratches darker. Alright, so there we go. There's that. I'm going to go put the urethane on this, and then when we come back we'll see how shiny it looks. And we'll look at gluing the figure on. Alright, see you soon. Bye. Alright, I'm back, and you can see how much shinier that is now that it's all urethaned up. And it's going to be pretty nice. The can here says to wait 24 hours before normal use, which means anything else I do to this thing has got to wait until tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here, and tomorrow we'll get into gluing the call for help figure onto the decorative base and finishing it up. All right. So we'll see you tomorrow then. Bye. All right, brush monkeys, we're back, and we have our call for help figure finished. We've got our base finished, the decorative base, and it's not quite as shiny as I would have liked, but you know, put a few more coats of urethane on there, that'll work. I'm just out of time. We got our hanger on the back, so it's looking pretty good. Now, to attach this to this, really simple. We're just going to use Gorilla Glue, super glue. I prefer to use the super glue gel, but I don't have any of the gel, so gonna have to pick some up next time I go out. But for right now, this stuff will work. And all we're gonna do is the back of this, where we don't have any paint, we're just gonna slather super glue all over it. And so long as we don't have it's still pretty thick for super glue. Just smear it all over there. Now, as long as we're not using the quick set, the zip kicker kind of stuff, we should have plenty of time to center this up on here the way we want it. And we still got a little bit of time to kind of move it around if we want. There we go. And we're just going to hold that for 60 seconds. Let's still move around a little bit. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and leave that here to dry and set completely, and then we'll come back and look at the finished project. All right, I think this has turned out really well, and I'm pretty happy with how it's coming out. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here and let that set up, and then when we come back, she'll be completely finished, and we'll see what she looks like. All right, see you then. Bye. And there she is, brush monkeys, our finished call for help sculpture by Thorbjorn Barone. Told you I was going to mangle that every time. She is beautiful sculpture, and I think she turned out really nice. She looks really, really good. So I'm pretty happy with how she turned out. I'm going to go ahead and call her done and go find a place to hang her on the wall. So thanks for joining us for this little journey. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up now, and next week we'll start in on something else. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye. Hey Brush Monkeys, Tom from Flying Monkey Studios here. If you like what you see, click like down below. If you want to be notified when new videos come out, click subscribe. And in the meantime, if you want to see how to add one of the miniatures that we've painted on this channel to your own collection, check out our Instagram, Tumblr, and Patreon sites. If you want to support us in doing what we do, check out my Patreon site, check out my merch store at storefrontier.com/flymonkeystudios. You can get t-shirts, sweatshirts, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, all kinds of stuff there. Go check that out. And in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.